Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by Ric Martin from Sensory Secure. Ric is someone that I've been working with for about the last 6 months or so, and I'm really intrigued by his business and how they go about it. And I asked him to join us for this podcast to find out a little bit more about them and give Ric a chance to finally meet me face to face and really discuss what's going on in the industry at the moment and how Sensory are growing their business and diversifying. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to Ric and ask him to tell you a little bit about him, a little bit about Sensory Secure as a business, and let him introduce himself. So over to you, Ric.
Hi guys, I'm Ric. I head up Sensory Secure, which is part of the Sensory Group. And in there's Sensory International, who are a big AV company, and also Sensory Energy, who do energy saving solutions for the commercial market. So I joined them, it's 2009. So 12 years I've been with Sensory. So Sensory International were the first out of the group. They started in 2002 from memory and started on the Cheshire market, doing AV systems, so lighting control, cinemas, TV distribution, audio. And then they always used to outsource the security to local companies, but they couldn't quite control the quality that was going out. So they thought, well, they bring it in-house. So I ended up joining them, I say 12 years ago, and we've just gone from strength to strength, really. I say we started off in mainly just the residential markets, but then because of links the MD and sales director have got in the marine market, because they're ex-yacht captains, we've been doing quite well in the marine market. So when I say marine market, we talk about super yachts, really. Don't really do much commercial shipping. It's all yachts from, say, 40 meters up to about 120, 130 meters. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Rather on the large side, then.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's not even how the other half live. It's how the top 1% live. So it's an interesting world. Quite, feel very privileged and lucky to get, to be able to see it and see what goes on these things. But it's good. Keeps me on my toes anyway.
No, I can imagine, and I bet there's some eye openers out there on the quality and size of these places that you're working on.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's an industry in its own. Everyone, I think billionaires get a lot of bad rep, really. But I mean, there's countless industries and just companies that work in these sectors with the billionaires. So it keeps a lot of people in business, really.
Oh, indeed, and you've just come back from one of your ventures as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So we had a bit of bad luck, really. We had a motherboard go on a server. So me and a couple of guys had to go out to Dubai to go and change that over, but also doing some slight upgrade works as well. And we want to do some additional upgrades. So we're doing some surveys on the locks and a few bits and pieces. So 10 days out in Dubai. So that's one of the perks of the jobs.
It's a hard life you lead, isn't it? Getting yourself away from the northern weather.
Yeah. Like I say, I mean, it's a stressful job. It takes its toll. So you kind of got to take the good when you can.
Well, why not, indeed? Why not, indeed?
But I mean, one thing that the company we're doing now is, let's say, we've been doing high-end resi, been doing marine, doing really well at that, but we want to expand. So our next step, which we're in the process of doing, is going into more of the commercial markets. So we've got kind of want to take what we've learned from what we've been doing, apply it to commercial markets, and see where we get to that way, really. So that's the next chapter of Sensory. So we'll see where we'll get to.
Yeah, definitely. And tell me a little bit about your first steps into the industry, Ric. Really, what intrigued you to come into this industry?
You know what? It was completely random sequence of events led me to the secure industry and even to Sensory. So I had a misspent youth, let's say. Didn't know what I wanted to do in life. Just I've always been a bit of a geek, like my gadgets. and I met a girl who's now my wife, mother of my children. And then, she had a sister who works in a tanning salon, and she randomly went down to see her one day, which she'd never done. And she randomly bumped into a mate of a mate who his parents own a security business. And I've met this guy like 3 or 4 times. And them times I've been with my now wife, and they got chatting. And he's, oh, what's Rick up to? And Faye's like, well, he doesn't really know what to do. And he's like, oh, well, we've looking for an apprenticeship, apprentice engineer at the security company. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, okay. And that was it. Just literally got into it, enjoyed it, and rest is history, really. So completely random.
That's so typical, I think, of a lot of guys in the industry. Obviously not including tanning salons and bits and pieces, but a lot of people do fall into this industry, and it's something that I think as an industry we need to do more of, is actually promoting it.
Yeah.
Because most people are just unaware that it exists. Yeah. And for school leavers and guys in college who are studying electronics and various other things, there's plenty of apprenticeships to go directly into the electronics market, but very, very few to come into the fire and security industry.
Yeah, I think it's probably perceived as quite a boring industry as well. It's not really exciting as well. I think it's perceived as not very exciting, but I think, again, I suppose like any industry, any industry can be boring or as exciting as you want, really. I mean, ours is quite exciting. I love my job. It's great. But would have I ever thought at school, I want to get in the security industry? Or you never meet like a 6-year-old boy and say, oh, what do you want to do? Say, I want to be a security engineer or something. Just don't hear it, do you?
No, it's not put out there. And I think, with the technology we got these days and where it's heading in terms of most of it now being, remotely operated and faults can be detected remotely and repaired remotely in a lot of cases, that it is becoming more and more techy.
No, definitely. I mean, I think some of the technology in the security industry, it's you got face recognition, analytics. It's not cutting edge, but it's not far behind. Some of the stuff we do, and I think that's kind of what interests me with the industry, really. It's not just PIRs. It's not just a few cameras. It's all the bit of software behind it. It's the integration, but then it's applying technology to like real life situations. I've just had a meeting today about doors. You just think the doors are dead simple, but actually understanding how doors are going to operate and how people are going to come through them, lock them, unlock them, and all these things. Especially on the boats, it's one of the biggest pains for us, working out and understanding how these doors are going to operate, the keys and everything. So it's things like that that sort of do interest me and keep me quite keen about the industry.
I think you've answered what was going to be my next question there. That what is it about the industry that's kept your interest and your intrigue in it? And I think a lot of that you've gone through there. But if there's more, please tell me.
Yeah, it's constantly changing. The technology changes. Some of the technology that needs to you can apply that differently. But then like nowadays with all the integrations going on, you can really start pushing the boundaries and like doing some really cool stuff. Admittedly, it bites me in the arse a few times, but I have more wins than losses. So that's a good. But you kind of, in my eyes, you got to take a little bit of risk sometimes. Because if not, you're just going to stand still. You got to test these things and try new things, and that ultimately that's what excites me about the industry, especially in the markets we do. But also with that, it's all right pushing boundaries and making risks, but you need to make sure it works as well, and that's the key, and that's the big puzzle to me. And I do love a good puzzle.
Sure. And how much testing do you put behind the equipment that you're putting in? Is it something that is endless, or is it something that we know it's worked in the past, so we use that?
I'd say probably 75% of the systems we do are all bench test. So we get all the gear in, we test it all, we pre-commission it all, and just basically get it up and running as much as possible in the office environment. and then we'll ship it out and install it. And then that way, if something's not quite talking, then we kind of know it's something environmental, like maybe network or maybe dodgy connects on the cables. And that's quite key to us because it just saves so much time out in the field. And also it's a lot easier when you're back at your office when you've got your spares and cables and tools and things like that just on hand rather than other side of the world. But I mean, in terms of new tech, then yeah, I mean, we do the best we can, don't you? We'll get manufacturers in, we'll talk to them, we'll get a complete objective list together and kind of put that out to them. And again, we'll bench test that as much as possible. But ultimately, until you get that into a real world situation, you're never quite going to know. And again, there's a bit of excitement behind that as well.
Sure, no, absolutely. And is it something that when there's a new bit of technology out, or a new bit of kit from a manufacturer, do the guys in the office is there a real bit of excitement behind that, and the mind starts thinking about, oh, how can we use this? What can we do to maximize that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we probably don't go for the absolute latest and craziest because there's always, there's more risk for that. But yeah, new products and things like that, it's always like, right, let's see what it can do, and then okay, how can we make this like really kind of work and things like that. So yeah, we do like a bit of new kit.
Lovely, good. And in terms of your career, who have been the influential people that have helped you shape that and really driven you?
Yeah, it's a good question, this one. So I think my wife, for one. So I think everyone needs a good woman behind them. She definitely calmed me down, gave me a reason to sort of get behind things, get motivated and sort of do well. My first boss in the security industry, there's 2 or 3 things he said back then, they've stuck with me like throughout my career. And just like the key one is just try the simple things first. You've got a really complicated system. If something's going wrong, just try the simple things first. Just try turn it off and on. Just little things like that. Don't just all of a sudden assume it's something really complicated wrong with it. It could just be that the gateway's wrong, or I don't know, just something like that. So rather than pulling everything apart, and that saved me so much time over the years. So he's one. My current team, and well, to be fair, the team throughout Sensory, they've been a massive influence because we do big things, but not one person can do these things. You need a team of people and bounce ideas off each other and things like that. And that's been quite a powerful thing to me because it's allowed me to try new things and push new boundaries because I'm confident in my ability and my team's ability to make it work, whatever. And lastly, I'd say the MD of Sensory. He's probably shaped my career mostly from a management point of view. He's a great role model, great MD. He's got just the way he goes about things, I think, are really good. He'll always look after people and he'll try and do right, even commercially on contracts and things like that. And I've seen how he's dealt with that over the years, and it always seems to come good. So I think them form the main influences for sort of, I suppose, different parts of me kind of thing. Kind of shaped it through, really.
It's always interesting, that question, because it seems to be that a lot of people do take certain bits that they've learned from different people and apply it to their own character, and take the good and leave the bad bits behind, and really it helps shape them. And it's I love asking that question just for that fact, because there's always something people haven't thought of for a while. Oh yeah, that guy there, he really helped me out. And there is always somebody that's done that and it's stuck with you. And like you say, sometimes it's the simplest things and the most basic help that they've given you that can be the most poignant.
No, definitely. And I think as people go through the careers, you've got to look at these influential people. They might not always be the obvious. And even, I suppose, in some ways, you can always learn of people how badly they've done things. It doesn't have to be a good influential person, be a bad influential person that's kind of making you good, if that kind of makes sense.
No, totally. I can totally relate to that. I've had some god-awful managers through the years, but fortunately, I've had some really good ones that have helped shape me. So that's good. Next question. I'm always pretty much on a daily basis asked by engineers, what can they do to improve their prospects, to gaining further training and promotions? And what would your advice be to these individuals?
So for me, I'm always interested. I'm always asking questions, and I'll always ask someone if needs some help. I think a lot of companies, I think people can get pigeonholed quite a lot, and I think that makes them scared to, just ask a project manager, oh, can I help you with that spreadsheet? Or, if someone's doing some commission, oh, can I just watch you? I think most people are quite open to sharing knowledge. I mean, some people can be quite closed and they kind of protect themselves, but I think you'll find most people are quite happy to, chat, share knowledge, sort of let people know what's going on. But I think that's just push, ask questions, interested in what's going on, and you should be able to grow your knowledge that way. If you kind of just sit back and wait for someone to come and help you progress your career, it's probably not going to happen, because everyone's busy. And one thing I got told, I get told quite a bit, is because I'm always busy. You're never going to walk into the office and be sat there with my feet up. But people have always said, like, well, I don't want to bother you. I'm like, but look, you can bother me. Just maybe send me a message, say, look, do you mind finding an hour at some point? After work or lunchtime or something, or even at the weekend. Do you mind? Can I get an hour of your time to go through something? I'm always like, yeah, that's fine. Kind of go for it. So, I think if people looking to progress it, just find someone you finds interested, doing some interesting stuff, and just go and have a chat. Ask them to help, and I think people will be surprised at the response they get from them. And if someone says no, just accept it, move on, and go and find someone else who will, because they'll definitely find them.
No, and there is, there's plenty of people in the industry that will always need a hand, and just by bringing yourself to their attention, I think it's great advice. Showing that you're interested will put you in their mindset of, oh, hold on a minute, you did ask about that, right? I'm a little bit less busy today, so I can probably spend a bit of time showing them what I do, how I do it, and increase someone else's knowledge.
Exactly. And I think the other bit of advice is just don't be scared to make a mistake. I think the biggest thing that hold people back is, what happens if I get it wrong? But you got to make mistakes. A mistake's just another way of learning.
Yeah.
So if you start making the same mistake over and over again, you've got a problem. But if you don't take chances, you don't put yourself out there, you don't make mistakes, you're never going to grow.
No, 100%. And it's really important that people are given that leeway where they can make a mistake and learn from it.
Exactly. And again, if you do make a mistake, just put your hand up. Just say, look, this is what's happened, this is why, and this is what I'm going to do about it to rectify it. I've dropped the ball. Things happen. Big project, things go wrong. But then clients, you sit down and say, look, I'm sorry, this has gone wrong. This is why, but this is what I'm going to do about it. Blah, 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 blah. And, you work through, and that's just what it is. Nothing goes 100% perfect all the time.
It can't. It's life. And as you say, ownership is a big thing. Take ownership of it and go from there.
Yeah. Definitely. No, definitely. 100%.
Good. It's good advice. I like it. We touched on it ever so slightly earlier, and it is something that does intrigue me about your business. It is the technical side, and how Century is diversified into the marine sector. I mean, yes, it's a nice glamorous lifestyle, going out and working on these billionaires' yachts and so on and so forth. But how did that come about for Century? Because obviously it just doesn't just happen overnight.
No, like I say, I'll say the MD and sales director, they were shareholders of the business as well. They're ex-yacht captains. So, like the marine industry, it's quite difficult to get into. It's all people connections, and they were just in the industry. And again, they've got a good mindset of just delivering good products, good projects, excellent service. It's just grown and grown and grown from there, really. Like Neil, sales director, he's quite active in them circles. Those are the right people, and I'll say you're in as good as your last job, as they say. So we keep trying to deliver the best we can and look after these people, and going from strength to strength.
Good. And is a lot of your work word of mouth? The referrals you get in that sector?
Yeah, we don't really advertise, like marketing and advertising. It's quite a new thing to us, like with the commercial stuff. But yeah, everything else it's always been word of mouth, just very organic growth, really.
Good. Yeah, you can't beat word of mouth exposure.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Good.
But yeah, I'll say it's challenging, but yeah, it's got its perks.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, in terms of locations, is it the super rich sort of typical ports that you think of where you're working, or do you get more stuff more local?
It's mainly the boats are in the yards. They're never as glamorous as the like the cans or anything like that. So, but we get about. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate. I've been to some amazing places. I've been East Coast, West Coast of America. So Dubai, been Indonesia, been all around Europe, Russia. So yeah, we certainly get about, and that's something I am very, very thankful for. We're essentially to be able to do that. But yeah, a lot of Europe's quite prominent in the shipbuilding. So Germany and Holland are like the main places, but Italy, Turkey, they're quite key places for building as well.
And what are the biggest challenges you find with that type of work? Is it the travel or staying away, or is it the more access related?
It's probably it is literally a moving target. But yeah, it's the distance. I mean, the planning. The amount of planning you got to put into these things is just ridiculous, because everything's got to be designed. Just down to so much like detail that you've got to know all this before you get there. So it is a very, the design process and the project management is very, very intensive process. But again, that's the challenge, and that's kind of the fun as well. But also just fitting these things. You can't just rock up and drill a 6 mil hole, put a wall plug in, and screw something up. It all needs fabrications. Even just putting cables through, penetrations and sealing all this up. So yeah, it's complicated, but good fun.
Indeed. And as much as you've got the technical operations manager title, I know from past conversations with you that you don't just sit there and oversee things. You get involved at real ground level as well. You get involved with the installations, the commissioning, and anything that needs doing. As part of your team, you're very much a very hands-on guy.
Yeah, I think I say at the start, I am a techie, I'm a geek. Also over years, my role has grown, now I'll now do some sales stuff or consultant stuff or project management stuff. But I think for me, I don't ever want to get away from that end of it. Obviously, I don't do as much as I used to, and it's getting less and less, but I feel that if I stop at that end, I'm going to stop learning. And if I stop learning, it won't make me as good as I am when I'm sat in front of a client or I'm trying to design a system. It's good to know all these bits and pieces, because technology changes all the time. So we've been, because we're going through an element of growth in a minute, we are adjusting the team, and I've been assessing how much time, percentage people spend on different kind of things. Because historically we have worn many hats, and it's served us well. But at the same time, as we're growing, you can't always do that, because you need to spend more time on less things. So we are adjusting at the minute. But as I've been going through this process, I'm trying to maintain maybe 5 or 10% of my time is still doing some technical stuff, because it'll help me at the other end of the spectrum kind of thing. So that's a good thing, essentially, as well. We don't pigeonhole people. We do like people to have access to all the different parts of the business, really. Whether that'll maintain as we grow, probably not. But it's nice to hold on to that little bit, that sort of small company mentality, I think.
No, no, and I think that's quite typical of a lot of small businesses, and certainly something that you can see you still enjoy, and it gives you a real buzz. You can
Yeah.
see the excitement in your face there as we're talking about it. That it's like, yeah, I love it. I love getting involved, and when I'm talking to clients, I'm still up to date with the technology because I'm
Yeah.
using it and getting involved with it, and being able to present it in its best light, opposed to sort of reflecting on what technical was a couple of years ago, and that
Yeah.
must come across in bundles when you're talking to clients.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I'm not, I'd say, the MD always sort of jokes I'm one of the best salesmen they've got, but I'm not a salesman. Yeah, I'm just a techie, and I can speak to people about this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think people are just comfortable talking to me because, hopefully I sound like I know what I'm on about.
It always helps. Definitely helps.
But yeah, I'll say I love getting into the back end of the system and getting up and running. Again, there's a buzz there as well. Being at the pointy end of the stick with the guys, trying to get the things over the line. I mean, the refits, because in the marine industry, there's a couple of big players. We're kind of coming up the ropes. But refits is what we're good at. It's the high intensity, but the crazy job. But it's what we're good at. Because we're a really good team. We get stuck in there, and we've all got this goal: just get this thing done and get it done to the best of our abilities. And that closing week, my stress levels are through the roof. But the MD jokes, he always says, I'm at the best when I'm properly under it, because I just get it all together, focus it all, and just get it over the line. And I mean, I do. So in my spare time, I do a lot of running and cycling, fell running, things like that. And it's one of them, you kind of like, if I'm running up a massive hill, at the time I hate it, but when I get to the top of that hill, I get this massive buzz. And I think that's kind of what I get from these sort of big project deliveries. It's horrendous getting there, but then you get it there, you deliver it, the client's happy, and then there's that buzz comes in, and that's kind of what you're chasing.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So, good. So we like.
So basically, I'm saying a bit of an adrenaline junkie.
Good, we love that. And obviously, with the last couple of years of restrictions on travel and things like that, how much of an impact has that had on the business and the individuals themselves, really?
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one, this one. So throughout COVID, we didn't actually shut down straight away because most of the projects kept running. Over time, the project shut down, and then we had to go on a bit of a shutdown. We furloughed about a third of the staff, but then still design work going. Well, the jobs which did keep running, travel wasn't too bad, actually. You could, if you had to get somewhere, you could go. You just had to have the right documentation, get all the COVID tests and things like that. So COVID did impact us like it has many of the businesses. But the travel wasn't as bad as you'd expect. It's just tricky. It's just got a bit of planning. But it's just a COVID test. At one stage, every time one person left the country and came back, you were staring at 600 quid's worth of COVID tests. And you just think, actually, that was probably just a money-making scheme along the way rather than practicalities. But you had the right forms. You could get everywhere. And obviously, we were safe when we were doing it. I spent quite a bit of time in Italy, but when we were there, we weren't going out anywhere. We'd literally, go to the project, come back, and we stay in our little bubble. So we did it very responsibly, but we managed to do it. But and again, I don't want this next comment to turn into a big conversation, but the main impact that's had towards is Brexit. That the whole Brexit thing has been an absolute nightmare. When it happened, we're trying to get gear out to Italy, and it was just horrendous. They're just trying to get it there, and the amount of money it costs to get there, because no one really knew what was going on. And there's now restrictions on we can only be in Europe 90 days out of every 180. So that's impacting what manpower we can have over there. You can't just ship people out for 6 months to go and work on the project because they've got to come back. Brexit has been more of a problem to us than COVID.
That's the first time I've heard it that way around, but yeah, now you've explained a little bit more detail on that it's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, just, we used to be able to just shipping things out. We used to be able to just put some in UPS, it'd be in Italy or France in a couple of days. It's got better now, but it's taken 2 or 3 weeks. The whole custom things, the duties and things like that. Yeah, it should have been a nightmare. Because obviously everyone, there's a deal, but in reality, the deal's been a bit crap.
Yeah, don't we know it?
Well, again, the trouble is with COVID as well. Well, Brexit's kind of long term. COVID, hopefully, it's slightly short term. Obviously, it's been longer term than kind of anyone really expected. But yeah, we're kind of getting through it now. So
good.
As many others are.
Good. And finally, sort of to wrap up a bit, we touched on it a little bit earlier on, really. But what do you think the industry can do to ensure that new talent's being brought into the industry or coming into the industry or enticed in or want to come into the industry? It's, from the last couple of years, especially, we're seeing more and more people struggling to find the right type of people within the industry, be it engineers, project managers, salespeople. The whole industry has grown massively. And there's not enough talent in the industry at the moment.
Definitely not. I think there's been 2 impacts on the industry. One, the lack of people coming into it, and 2, I think the whole plug and play and more consumer products are destroying the bottom end of it. And it's always the bottom end that's easier to get into, and then you kind of grow out of it. So, well, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. That's just technology. Consumer products come along. It is what it is. The whole plug and play thing, again, it is what it is. Wireless systems, but I posted on LinkedIn the other day. We had an old Matrix, one of the CM9770s. We have one of them. You program these things through floppy disk, old PTZs. The analog telemetry and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of show that to some people now, and they're like, "What the hell's that? What's all these wires?" They're just used to getting a cable and plug it in the back of a HIC MVR, and you've got a CCTV system. So, I mean, that is a problem, but it's a reality of where we are. But we can get away with that because there are bigger there are bigger projects and solutions out there which people can get training on. So I think that'll kind of work itself out eventually. But for people coming into the industry, awareness, I think, it isn't a boring industry. Parts of it is, but I love my job. It's great, fantastic projects. Get to do some cool travel, get to see some really cool things, work with great technology, some cutting edge technology, and that will suit some geeks out there. So I think awareness and just training, really get people on the big stuff and keep it interesting for them, I think.
I do see it where people are been in the industry for a year or so, and unfortunately some companies do develop people and grab hold of the ones that they know have got that interest and train them and keep the level of interest there, where some other companies don't. They train them to the level, right, you're at the level you can go and do the job, and that's what you're going to do until we tell you otherwise. And and it's not productive for people. There are a lot of guys out there who want to learn and genuinely really have had, really they've been stalled because either the money isn't there within the business for them to train, or they're not given the time to be able to go off and learn new skills on manufacturers training courses. It's time out of business at the moment that their employers are looking at it going, well, if I lose you for 2 or 3 days, that's 2 or 3 days worth of jobs that aren't going to be done. Therefore, it's costing the business more money.
Yeah, it is a tough one. I mean, I've just put out to all my team, just come back to me, what courses you want, but not just technical ones, management ones, regulations and things like that. So it's a fine balance. You can't, some people want to go on training every week kind of thing. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But the same time, he can't do any training. That's something I've realised we don't do a lot of, but I want to increase that. Again, just help people progress, because I think some people will be, will get scared. You think, oh, if I train someone, they're just going to leave and go elsewhere. And that is always the case, but I don't know. I think it's a bit of a flawed way of looking at things, because if you don't progress your engineering team or your project management team, you're never going to get better as a business, and you're not going to be able to win better work and things like that. So, I think it's a fine balance, I think, between the two. But it's good to see a lot more. There seems to be a lot more apprenticeships coming on the scene as well in the fire industry, the fire and security industry. So I think that's good, and also, I mean, you can't obviously look into the future, but I seriously think the security and fire industry, it's a job for life. It's not going anywhere. If you look at the stats, it's growing year on year, globally. And unfortunately, the world is always going to need security, and they're probably going to need more of it. So, and that should be quite a compelling argument to some people coming into the industry. It's like trades. You're always going to need trades. You're always going to need security people, and it's not boring.
No, it's constantly evolving, isn't it? The technology is becoming more and more involved, and what I like about it in particular is there seems to be more of an IT element drifting into it now, and that's going to attract people from other industries that may or may not have had that opportunity before. There seems to be a big interest in people that have actually sat down and invested in their own future and done things like the Cisco courses, and really got a high level of IT. And now the technology's compelling itself and really growing, that it is now so much dependent on the internet and how that's changing in things, and how people can remotely work with it. I think that's something that's really going to grow.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was going to say, actually, got it around me. People moving from other industries in the security industry. So again, that seems to be quite a big thing. Also, seems quite a lot of the ex-forces coming into the industry as well. We've got an ex-forces guy who joined us back in October, and from an attitude point of view, it's fantastic. They've kind of been for the army and all that kind of thing. So I think that's a really positive thing. And again, I think it's quite so I think for a mindset, if you're in the army, you've kind of gone in because you want to protect people and protect the country kind of thing. So the security industry seems quite a natural mindset sort of industry to go into. So I'm all for that. So more ex-service men, the better.
No, definitely, and they're dependable.
Yes,
those guys. They always tend to be guys that you can always rely on. If they say they'll do it, they'll do it, and there's no question behind it. Their commitment to it as well. And I think it's something as an industry we can certainly get better at, because there's a lot of these guys are learning an awful lot of techie skills in the forces at the moment, and they can bring those with them.
Yeah, no, 100%, definitely behind that.
Good. Okie dokie. Well, that just about wraps us up. I've loved this chat, Rick, because it's ticked a lot of the boxes of things that interest me. Managing to find out a little bit more about sensory, the sectors that you work in, and how interesting it is. And I hope it sort of inspires some people to look deeper into their own training and looking at how their businesses can diversify, such as yours has. And it's good to have a real nice chat.
Yeah, no, it's been great. No, thanks a lot for the invite. It's been great.
No, I've enjoyed it, mate, and hopefully we will speak really soon, and we'll push on from there.
Excellent. Cool.
All right.
Cheers, mate. All right. See you soon.
All right. Cheers, Rick.